Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS. Melissa Matson has been helping families in Las Vegas plan for a successful retirement. The team at MRS Wealth Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS.
It's tempting to hope for the best case scenario in retirement, but the reality is there are several major risks that could send your retirement into a tailspin. Today, we'll help you identify some of those risks and come up with a strategy that could help you protect your family and your future. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors. I'm Amy Sharp, and today joining me, Melissa Matson, founder of MRS Wealth Advisors. And Melissa, it is great to be back with you. Always good to have a conversation. And today, it's kind of a tough topic, actually, but it's important that we all have a reality check. I imagine you can agree when it comes to retirement conversation. When we get into retirement, things might not go as planned, and that's just the reality, isn't it?
Oh, it is. We can't prevent bad things from happening, but we always can plan for the unexpected. In fact, we say in our office often, we want to plan for the worst and hope for the best. And so today I really wanted to focus on some strategies that we talk about often in our office. We need to have these plans so that we have this framework so that we're actually having the tough discussions, because, you know, catastrophic illness, having a medical emergency in retirement and it's unexpected, or losing the love of your life, the loss of a spouse, what does that look like? And then another thing that we address is living a long and healthy life, because let's face it, we're living longer than ever.
Longevity, I think, we hear that term a lot. It doesn't seem like a risk. And every time I hear that come up, I think, gosh, everyone wants to live longer and have a wonderful life into retirement, but it's a risk. I want you to expand on that a little bit and tell us kind of how it can be.
Yeah, this is what I mean by that. Living a long life is fantastic, and it's something we always hope for. But, it's quality over quantity, of course. But living a long life comes with a very steep price tag. In fact, that means more years of paying bills, paying taxes. We have to deal with inflation. And, it's just everything becomes more expensive. Think of something as simple as having a family dinner. I have 5 children. I have grandchildren. When we have a big family gathering and have everybody over for a big dinner, the price tag is steep. It's a lot different than it used to be. So having a plan for that, everyone wants to go to grandma's house or everyone wants to go to mom's house, right?
Yes.
So, we need to have a plan to be able to afford the rising cost of everything.
Lay that out for us a little bit, what that plan looks like. Because if I'm someone who says, oh, my family hasn't really lived much past 70, I'm going to just plan until that age. We don't obviously know. And so how do we, and your team at MRS Wealth Advisors, how do we lay that out so that we have a plan that lasts as long as we do?
That's a great question. I tell you what, Amy, knowing the different stages of retirement is just crucial for retirees, because when we label these and talk about these in our office as when you first retire, you have your go-go years, then you have your slow-go years, and then my parents are now 91 and 94. They are in the no-go years, right? If they get to go to the dentist and they're living in a nursing home or go to the doctor, that's really all they feel like they have the energy to do. So it's sad to see, but having a plan for that. But with your go-go years, where everyone's looking forward to their first retiring years, you have something you haven't had before, and that is time. Time to plan the next vacation, go on the next cruise, go play pickleball, have dinner with your friends, go on, just all the wonderful things you've been hoping for. And you want to make sure you're not overspending. So you have a plan on a withdrawal strategy, and a withdrawal strategy to make sure you're not overspending, because your money needs to last for that 25 to 30 plus years. And you need to have money for that last stage so that you're keeping up with the cost of living. So just making sure that we have a drawdown strategy with different income income streams so that you're preserving your savings and your capital will last.
I always think about lifestyle being so important to everyone, and you were just naming off some of those things, like going on a cruise, just spending time with your family. Maybe it's a big trip. That's something you don't want to change either when you get into retirement. And again, those years added on to it can add up.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah. And everyone just, they don't want to overspend, and they have that fear. I have people wondered this, how much, they don't ask how much are we able to spend? It's like, how much can we spend? We want to spend as much as possible, but we don't want to overspend. So we have fantastic software that helps us work together with the clients to strategize the opportunity to see if they have enough or if they need to work a few more years to get there. It's
always good to have kind of an overview, an understanding before you go into it. And I think that's all about that plan and having someone guiding us alongside. Okay, we've got some other risks we're going to get into in our next segment, so stick around, much more to come here. Melissa next will help us tackle some of the biggest risks to our retirement, and later in Master Plan Minute, strategies to help you put up guardrails to keep your retirement from toppling over the edge. Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues after this.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
I'm back with Melissa Matson, and today Melissa is helping us tackle some of the major risks to our retirement. And some of these risks are difficult to discuss, but it's really important that we think these things through. Catastrophic illness and medical emergency. Those are kind of the two next ones on the list that we're going to go through here. And those can come so unexpected. None of us think something's going to happen like that. And then when it does, we look at the medical bills. You and I were even talking about this before we started, about how you can't imagine what you would pay if you didn't have a plan in place.
Oh, you're so right, Amy. In fact, having a plan for healthcare is so important, really, at any age. Each year, more than 500,000 Americans file for bankruptcy due to healthcare emergency, catastrophic illness, or an accident that can just absolutely knock them off their feet, financially or physically. I have a client that was pruning they just entered into retirement, and he was up on his ladder and he was trimming his palm tree and cutting, and his wife was down below holding the ladder, and he fainted at the top of the ladder, and the chainsaw came down and hit his wife in the shoulder. He fell in the neighbor's yard. He ended up in the hospital. My client called me on a Saturday. I knew something had to desperately be wrong. Fast forward 5 years, they're both fine and enjoying their retirement, but it was 1 year of rehabilitation and over $1.4 million in healthcare costs of that accident. So gentlemen need to stay off the ladders, right? Things can go wrong, but you need to have a plan for unexpected healthcare costs for sure. Knowing and understanding Medicare and your options in Medicare. And also when it comes to long-term care, you know, it's funny. We all have homeowners insurance and we only have a 1% chance our house is going to burn to the ground. We all have car insurance. We only have a 3% chance that we're going to need to use it. But there's a 70% chance, 70, that if you reach age 65, you are going to need some form of long-term care assistance in your elderly years.
And so many of us do not have that. And so that's good to hear those numbers put out there because it really does make an impact, I believe. The next one on the list is losing a spouse. And I can't imagine, you know, what that looks like when you're having to kind of put that all together and then plan, and all of a sudden there's not two of you, there's one of you.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies is The Notebook, because having elderly parents, right? We think of how lovely it would be if they were able to hold hands and fall asleep together in death. But you know, if that were to happen, you'd make the paper, and it doesn't happen very often. So you need to have a plan and have those tough conversations with your clients so that they can look forward, so that they don't have the anxiety is, do they know where the passwords are? Do they know what to do with the budget? Do they realize that they're going to lose one Social Security? They're going to be down, you know, what does that look like from, because you're still going to have the same amount of bills. You're still going to have the same utilities. You're going to have the same, the cost of living. It happens so unexpectedly oftentimes, and it's really hard because this generation, unlike my parents' generation, are more active, but a lot of ladies like to just let the man handle it. And then if something happens, and statistically speaking, us ladies do live longer, and so you are left making sure that you know how to manage the money that you've accumulated, and you know all the different risks moving ahead. So just making sure that you have, from a tax perspective, you have everything in order, because now you're no longer filing as a married couple. You're filing single, and if the bulk of your money is in those qualified IRAs, that could become a very, very expensive change in how your monthly budget looks.
And I think you bring up a good point about being a part of the conversation so often, and I think that's generational, I do believe. I think it's changing.
I agree.
Where if, you know, our parents, I know my mom wasn't much into the conversation of going and talking with the advisor about money. She thought that was just my dad would take care of that. Well, you know, one day she might not have him there and she will know nothing. And I think that's important to point out.
Oh, it is. In fact, I have a rather newer client. She's only been with me a handful of years, but when her husband first passed away, she said, I never paid attention to this. I went to the meetings, but all I could think about was where he was taking me to lunch after. And so I was more focused on our lunch date than I was really on what they were all saying in the background. So we're very, very passionate about helping the families understand the dynamics of where there's wealth and what you need to take care of, or having those conversations, what would you like me to do, so that there's no guesswork in the end. I could tell you a story of a client who actually she moved her money over after her husband passed away, but she wouldn't let me sell anything because she remembered having coffee and conversation about him buying that particular stock and this and that. And here he'd passed away 3 years ago, and she still didn't want anything moved. So it was really
very personal.
Very personal, yeah.
Oh, great insights. And I know there are so many more risks we didn't even begin to touch on, but it is an important topic. So thank you very much, and we've got much more to come. Straight ahead, Melissa helps you put up guardrails to keep your retirement from toppling over the edge. That's next in Master Plan Minute. And still to come, Melissa answers your most pressing retirement questions. You're watching Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
In today's Master Plan Minute, Melissa helps you put up guardrails to help keep your retirement from toppling over the edge. Melissa?
Oh, what do we mean by guardrails? Well, think about this analogy. When you're driving on a long, windy road, and actually my husband's from New Zealand. When we go visiting in New Zealand, there really are these one-lane bridges. And you have to actually watch for the other side to see if there's someone else coming. And you have to take turns because it is a one-lane bridge. But just think, if you're at the top of a high mountain and you're getting ready to go over a bridge, as you come down, you know you're going to cross over this single-lane bridge, and there's no guardrails, and you're crossing a really deep river. Would that make you a little bit nervous? Of course it would. So in retirement, you think about volatility, or you think about having tax efficiency in your retirement. They're like having guardrails for the unknown. You don't want to fall off into the river, but you also don't want to not have a plan for taxes being your biggest bill in retirement, or not having a plan for healthcare risk, not having a long-term care plan in the event something tragic went wrong. You know, my grandmother had a stroke at 74 years young, and she ended up paralyzed on the left side of her body and had to stay in a nursing home. This was, back in 1998. She was very unhappy having to be cared for when she was so independent. Did she have a plan for that? No, she didn't. It was absolutely had to be paid for out of pocket. And she was definitely coherent about what the cost was, and it didn't make her happy. That's not having a plan. We don't want that for our clients. At MRS Wealth Advisors, we want to make sure that we're talking about efficient tax planning and having a plan for a long-term care event, because you don't want to be caught off guard not having those guardrails that will protect the assets that you've accumulated. Because if you create a plan, you've talked about the uncertainties, the unknowns, the what ifs, then you're going to be able to enjoy all the things that you have actually dreamed of enjoying. And you can go play pickleball. You can go on your hiking trips. You can go plan to be with your friends in the community or travel, whatever your wish is. And you know that you have planned for those things that aren't as fun and pleasant to talk about. Healthcare emergencies or bigger tax bills. That is this week's Master Plan Minute. Back to you, Amy.
Have a question about retirement? Don't go anywhere. Melissa has the answers coming up in our Q&A segment. Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues right after this.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy, but with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work toward your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Welcome back, everyone. You probably have questions about retirement. Well, the good news is Melissa is ready to answer them. Are you ready for this?
You bet, Amy.
Okay, this is always a favorite segment of mine. I feel like I learn something every single time because people bring such great questions. This first one is from Rita in Las Vegas. We've been retired for about 5 years and we're expecting our first grandchild soon. What are some tips for starting a college savings fund? I thought they were going to start asking you about your grandchildren.
Right.
You can talk all about that for hours, right?
Oh, of course. Well, congratulations to Rita on her first grandchild. That's wonderful. And it's great that you're already wanting to give to your grandchild. But I tell you what, college savings funds have limits and they have boundaries. And, you know, everybody's grandchild's going to go to college because that's just what we want them to do. But you know, sometimes the grandchild grows up to be an influencer, or sometimes they just go straight into doing, you know, becoming a famous actor or something. So you want to make sure that you're not overfunding, this is my opinion, of course, these college 529 funds, because there's other ways to save for your grandkids as well in UGMA accounts. So we try to look at the pros and cons. Everyone wants to give to their grandchildren, so I commend you for that. But look at all the options so that you have more flexibility, and they will too later in life.
It is such a great gift, though, that will help them down the road.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Here is one from Peter in Henderson. I'm in my late 50s, and I have more than $500,000 saved for retirement. I'm expecting an inheritance of at least $500,000. So I'd love to retire early, and I feel like I'm in good shape, but how can I find out for sure?
Well, Peter, that's a great question. And being in your early 50s, you're probably going to have a longer retirement than you did in your working years. And although $500,000 seems like a lot of money, and also inheriting money in the future, if you come on in, we can sit down with you and we can sit down together, meet, review, and strategize your particular situation, put some inflation, put some rates of return on what you do have going on. But I would say one of the biggest red flags for retiring early would be healthcare costs. Because again, that magic number of age 65, that's when Medicare kicks in. If you're funding your own healthcare with that savings that you have, it's going to cost you a pretty mint. So making sure that you have enough income coming in, Social Security doesn't start till later. I don't know that you have enough, Peter. So we invite you in, we'll take a look and see what it looks like.
Okay, so it's good to have an overview and to kind of sit down and get a second opinion as well. Okay, here is a question from Samuel in Green Valley. Do you work with very many small business owners? I'm thinking of retiring in the next few years, and I'm trying to make sure I have a good exit plan in place. when the time is right. And if you are a small business owner, you've probably heard the term exit plan and how important it is and what that looks like.
Absolutely. And being a small business owner myself, I understand that, because if you don't have an exit strategy, you're going to continue to work for the rest of your life. So sitting down and just having this overview and having a strategy of how much will I need in retirement, making sure that the lifestyle that you're enjoying in your working years as a small business owner, making sure that you have a plan for your taxes, making sure you have a plan for that. It all starts with that retirement income. If you can actually have enough in your nest egg to make sure that you've created a retirement income that can sustain your lifestyle, I say absolutely retire early. But make sure you've sat down and thought it out and have a plan for inflation and income.
It's hard for small business owners to kind of walk away from all of that after they've built this business, they've done a lot of the work themselves, and then it's like preparing to hand it over. I imagine that's a lot of emotional feelings go into that.
So emotional, and also the fact that small businesses, typically you are your brand. And so being able to sell your small business, it's really difficult because you grew it from infancy, and to sell it to someone else, it becomes a really intimate moment. So.
Okay, let's try one more here before we have to take a break. I get a lot of mail. This is from Carrie in Southern Highlands. She says, I get a lot of mail and phone calls about Medicare. How do I figure out what kind of supplemental insurance I might need to go with it?
Medicare is one of the most complicated types of insurance. First of all, it changes every year. There's always new plans coming in. The most important thing to know about Medicare is everybody's an individual. You need to really take an inventory of your personal health before you can make an educated decision. Make sure that if you want to be in a network, if you want to have a Medicare Advantage plan, or if you need a supplemental plan, just dependent on your health history, and making the right choices can make all the difference in the world. Some people really want this network of doctors, so you need to make sure you are on the right Medicare plan that allow you to go to those doctors. Just being on an Advantage plan, you're pretty much stuck with going in the network that you're assigned to. So those are big decisions. You can make decisions every single year, but you need to make sure you're making the right decisions for you.
These were great questions and great insight. Thank you so much, Melissa.
You're welcome.
And if you want to learn ways to generate lifetime income, potentially reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now. Melissa and the team are ready to help you start building a retirement plan designed to help you flourish in retirement. For Melissa and the team at MRS Wealth Advisors, I'm Amy Sharp, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.
Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS. Melissa Matson has been helping families in Las Vegas plan for a successful retirement. The team at MRS Wealth Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS.
There's just no way around it. More people seem to be retiring than ever these days. It's great to see those around us reach their well-deserved golden years, but it does come with some major concerns, including a massive strain on our retirement system. Thanks for joining us today on Master Your Retirement with MRS with Melissa Matson, the founder of MRS Wealth Advisors. And Melissa, it is great to be back with you. This is an important topic that I think a lot of people are diving into, or they're hearing more about. Is this idea, this fact really, that there are so many people retiring right now. Is this true? And what does this mean for us?
Gosh, Amy, in fact, the latest numbers are that there's over 4 million Americans that are reaching retirement age. In fact, that is a surge of 11,200 per day that are going to be retiring. And when I say retiring, I mean turning 65. What happens at 65? People are entering onto Medicare. But there's all these people making the same decisions, life decisions, moving forward for the next stage of their life. And this surge is going to continue until the end of 2027.
Okay, you brought up Medicare. With so many people entering retirement, what does this mean for our retirement system overall? What does it mean for our economy?
Right. That is a huge concern because with so many layoffs, with so many people wanting to work from home, but when you think about Medicare and the Medicare services and how many options there are and how many changes there are every single year to the updates to what Medicare allows or the options, supplemental, or do you want, what kind of Medicare is right for me? There again, knowing your health. But if you want to have your own healthcare providers and you want to make sure there's the concierge service available, and that comes with quite a price tag. The long-term care facilities, boy, imagine this. 83% of the people that are living in long-term care facilities are ladies. But there's a 70% chance that that stage of life, someone reaching age 65 together, a married couple, there's a 70% chance that one of you is going to need some sort of long-term care. That means that these facilities are bursting at the seams with people asking questions, needing things, and they need this care. So it's really important that we basically not just have a way to pay for it, but consider where you're living and make sure that you've checked out those facilities and have a list of facilities that you liked before that time comes.
Melissa, one of the things we know is that Social Security is a foundational part of so many retirements, and we know that it can't always stand alone for everyone. But what's happening to that with all these retirees going into this system, and what's the impact on these benefits that so many people rely on?
Yeah. In fact, everyone looks forward to that magic number of 65 where they can go on to Medicare and they have the choice of being able to stop working. There's just this tidal wave, and it is absolute of people going onto these services. And, it is absolutely going to affect the retirement systems. It is just causing a strain on these entitlement programs. Even though we paid into these programs, they are considered entitlement programs. Social Security is a major part of many retirement plans. So with all these retirees coming onto the program, having to make these choices, believe it or not, Amy, there's 567 ways or choices on how to take your Social Security. Who would have thought? It's just, don't we take it at 62 or full retirement age or wait till age 70? But it really isn't that easy because sometimes people lose a spouse and their spouse, are they eligible or entitled? So knowing the ins and outs of Social Security is really important.
Yeah, it's almost like we need the cliff notes on that, on those 500 plus questions. Okay, just the overall impact. Let's just break it down as we talk about all these baby boomers entering retirement. In your mind, what is that impact? What's the main thing that we're going to see?
Well, it's really important for people to understand it isn't sustainable to have more people taking money out of a system or out of a bucket than are putting money into the bucket. So when you think about when Social Security was first, came out in 1935, there was only one beneficiary for 64 workers. And now there's one beneficiary for every 3 workers. So Social Security is not exactly solvent. So there's going to be a big reform in the future. They will be coming up with some sort of a solution for the lack of Social Security because people are draining the system because they're living longer, which is a good thing, but we have to have a plan for retirement income, right?
Okay, great insight so far. We've got lots to go. Up next, we'll cover some of the ways you can plan ahead and feel more confident in this peak retirement era. And later in Master Plan Minute, Melissa shares tips for how to make your way back down the retirement mountain after you've reached the summit. There's much more coming up on Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors. Stay with us.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
I'm back with Melissa Matson. Today we're talking about a major trend in retirement. We are currently in the biggest wave of new retirees in our nation's history, and it's having a significant impact on soon-to-be retirees, maybe yourself, across the country. So Melissa, what are some things retirees might want to keep in mind during this record-breaking event that's happening around them? Because you start to hear this news and it can be overwhelming, and immediately if you're on the verge of retiring, all of a sudden you've got to make these decisions.
It is an exciting time. In fact, it's amazing. The first thing that people need to do when they are getting ready to retire, getting ready to approach retirement, hopefully before they've retired, is to make sure that they have a solid income plan. We always say with every house that gets built, if you have a solid base, which is your income, right, you're going to have enough income that's going to outpace inflation as time goes on. Because we know that once we enter into retirement, we want to have that lifestyle. And the second thing is to make sure you have your medical needs taken care of. You've checked into Medicare. You've checked into the out-of-pocket costs that goes into the expenses of these benefits, because Medicare doesn't cover everything. It all comes down to having a great baseline, there again, a solid foundation, so that you have this income plan that will make sure that it's not just enough to enjoy that lifestyle today, it's enough to last throughout your retirement.
I want you to take us a little deeper into the income plan and what that looks like specifically at MRS Wealth Advisors, how you're sitting down and really crafting these plans, because we know each plan is different for every person that comes through your doors in terms of, what they have saved, what their goals are, what their lifestyle dreams are, things like that.
Right. Well, it's interesting. There's no two families that have the exact same income needs or income plans. So it just depends for everybody. That's what makes our life so exciting. At MRS, when we sit down with our clients, we're able to meet, review, and strategize a plan that's custom to their needs. Social Security is about 1/3 of a lot of families' income needs. Having that for the rest of their lives. Annuities can also, there's, these longevity annuities that you can actually purchase that will actually provide income for the rest of your life. Sometimes people can ladder those, and it's based off of longevity. longevity, which is the biggest concern of people running out of money. But you know, knowing the different types of annuities that are out there is crucial, because if you were to just Google annuities, you're going to see all the good, the bad, the ugly. You've got to understand the type of annuity that may or may not be right for you, because they're almost like a pension stream of income. Having the confidence in knowing that you have this paycheck on the first of every month, because once you retire, every day is a Saturday.
Yes, it is.
And that's the day that we all during our working years, we would spend the most money on a Saturday. But every day in retirement, you're just waking up and wondering, what are we going to do today? Every time you go get in your car, you're spending money. So having a plan for that and using these tools that create this income or this solid baseline, it allows you the peace of mind to create the equity and have that exposure in the market where you're not completely stressed that if the market's up or if the market's down, I have to not spend today. You already have your baseline of income coming in, that foundational income, right? So creating that, going through with our clients and creating this solid plan so that they are keeping up with inflation, yet having the income they need on the first of every month. Then they know they have enough to retire.
Hearing you talk about every day being a Saturday and thinking about all of the decisions that we need to make, and for our viewers who are now in this, you know, peak retirement era that we're talking about,
Yes.
it all plays into the value of having an advisor by your side. And I want you to speak on that for just a moment, because I really think, obviously it's what you do every single day, but I just cannot imagine kind of going through this journey alone, even if I've done a good job with my budget, you know, during my working years.
And you're so right. We have people who've done an amazing job accumulating, and they've done just amazing things by having the discipline to put the money away, set the money aside. And we're just coming off of a really nice bull market too. So there's been a lot of success out there. But wow, once you get past that accumulation phase and now you are in the distribution phase, we specialize at MRS Wealth Advisors, we specialize in helping our clients create a distribution plan that is going to scream success. Because there's a lot of bumps and bruises along the way that can happen. And so you have to be able to point those things out, have those tough conversations about what if we have a health emergency? Will we need more income? What if something happens to one of us, right? So many people retiring every day, working with an expert who has helped others go through this journey. In fact, after being in this business for more than 20 years, we've been able to see full circle what the retirement story looks like, and being able to point out successful families, and then families that pretty much missed a couple of steps and maybe they had to go back to work. Who wants to do that? Go back to work after they've entered into retirement.
One-time retirement.
One-time retirement. So those who want to do it themselves, I almost like to say, the more you do anything, I love to hula hoop. The more you do anything, the better you get.
You learn
right?
something new every day, don't you? When we come back, maybe we'll have a hula hoop waiting here for
there you go.
All right, very good. Well, straight ahead, after years of building up your savings and reaching the retirement summit, how do you make your way back down the mountain? With a hula hoop, maybe. Melissa explains. That's next in Master Plan Minute. And still to come, Melissa answers your most pressing retirement questions. You're watching Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
In today's Master Plan Minute, Melissa helps guide you back down the retirement mountain. Melissa?
I love to talk about this because a great analogy is talking about climbing a big mountain. You know what? Most people hire a Sherpa to help them get to the top, but most importantly, that Sherpa does a great job getting you down the mountain. Just like your retirement nest egg. When you are busy accumulating and putting money away for your retirement, 80% of most financial advisors focus in that area, the accumulation phase. At MRS Wealth Advisors, we are specialists in helping those 55 or better in making a plan for the distribution phase. When you are in the distribution phase, just like coming down the mountain, that's where the most amount of deaths happen when you climb Mount Everest. When you're coming down off of your retirement peak and you're distributing your money so that you're living the retirement of your dreams, you need to have a plan so that you're keeping up with inflation, you're not spending too much, but you're enjoying each phase of retirement. Because let's face it, if you have too much risk in your portfolio, you could have to go back to work. That is not the way we want to be in retirement. And also, if there was to be a medical emergency, or if there was to be some sort of a long-term care event, or the loss of the love of your life, that also could be a catastrophe. These are the type of issues when we talk about the distribution phase of your retirement or coming down off of that mountain. It means having a true comprehensive plan so that you're discussing the risks of retirement, the risks of distribution, because it's really important that if you don't have a plan for that, you could be taken off guard. Accumulating is just a portion of it. Distribution, we feel, is where the magic really comes in. And that's where our team really focuses, talking about the tough stuff. That's this week's Master Plan Minute. Back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Melissa. Have a question about retirement? Don't go anywhere. Melissa can help with the answers coming up in our Q&A segment. Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues right after this.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
I'm back with Melissa, and it's time to answer some of your retirement questions. It's always my favorite time of the show. Are you ready for this?
You bet.
Okay, let's get right to it then. Our first question is from Dana in Boulder City. I have a 401k with just under $1 million. Do I need to wait to retire until I hit the $1 million mark? And that's sort of a magic number that used to be common. I'm not sure if $1 million works anymore. What do you say?
Right. Dana, $1 million used to be the benchmark for most people. They would work their whole life to accumulate to get to $1 million. And then with the 4% rule coming out, if you could actually live on $40,000 a year, your nest egg, it's usually enough money. But there's other considerations that you need to be aware of. We need to talk about market fluctuation. We need to consider inflation. What other streams of income do you have coming in to sustain your retirement? How much is your Social Security? Do you have a pension plan? That's how we best analyze your personal situation to let you know if $1 million is going to be enough to help keep pace with inflation. So there again, it depends. I know you don't like that answer, Dana, but I hope that helps.
Well, I think a lot of these questions, we can't share all the details and that type of thing. It's always something that we reference. Come in, meet the team, sit down, and go over your situation. Okay, this next question is from Vince and Cadence. My wife and I are both turning 65 next year. Should we both start taking Social Security at the same time, or should we consider staggering it? And here's those 500 plus questions that come along with Social Security.
Exactly.
There's just a couple in there for you.
Yes. Social Security is very complicated. And there again, the answer is always it depends. That's why we invite people in to sit down with us. But both of you turning 65, entering onto Medicare, a typical answer is the highest income earner in the family should usually defer the longest or as long as possible. Now, that would be to age 70. That way you're accounting for, and it's okay to take Social Security for one of you, but if you can afford to defer until age 70, the higher income earner, you're sort of making this rock solid higher income plan so that in the event there's a premature death of one of you, the spouse is able to enjoy that higher income because they will be losing the one Social Security. It usually doesn't make mathematical sense to turn them both on at the same time unless you need the money, of course. So enjoy your retirement, but there's a lot of different factors to consider. Going through the different scenarios, you'll know exactly your break-even point, and you'll know exactly the benefits of waiting longer.
Okay, great insight. And here's another one from Paul in Las Vegas. I've heard a lot about Roth conversions, but I think I make too much money to have a Roth IRA, unless I'm missing something. So what are the rules?
Oh, Paul, this is one of my favorite subjects because the Roth IRA is the most misunderstood of all the IRAs that are out there on the platform. There's a difference between a Roth contribution and a Roth conversion. If you have money in an IRA, anybody can have a Roth conversion. So it has nothing to do with income limits. Doing a Roth contribution absolutely has income limits that you have to pay attention to. But anyone can do a conversion. There's just one consequence to that, and that is you've got to pay some taxes. So I have had families come in and they're just 60 years young, living very conservatively, $89,000 a year. When I look at their tax return, I notice, you're trying to stay in the 12% tax bracket. You're doing a great job. But they had a $5 million they retired with in their IRAs. And they said, we don't want to use that. We want that for the grandkids. We love them so much. We're going to just defer and let that grow. And we don't want to pay taxes on that. Well, as we know, legislation is always changing the tax laws, and taxes are going up. And often it makes sense to pay some tax while we're in a relatively lower tax bracket than waiting when we don't know what the taxes are going to be. And with the RMDs coming out, they realized after we did the math, we were able to show them a way that they were going to save millions, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars of unanticipated taxes. So those are the success stories that we like. We like people to know, look ahead and see what this is going to look like in the future. So Roth conversions might be a good way to go for you.
Fantastic. Here's another question from Irene in Henderson. Irene asks, can my capital gains push me into a higher tax bracket? So we're still keeping with the tax theme here. Taxes just don't go away. They're pretty much in every conversation, aren't they?
Absolutely. In fact, every source of 1099 interest, any 401k withdrawal, your Social Security, all of those forms of interest are going to, whatever lands in your 1040 is going to affect your capital gains, whether it's capital gains tax or ordinary income tax. It's all going to affect how much you're going to have to write that check to Uncle Sam for. Okay,
this is all good insight. And as I said at the beginning of this question segment, it's always a good idea to reach out to the team at MRS Wealth Advisors, and you can expand on these questions with that individual. All right, thank you so much. If you want to learn ways to generate lifetime income, potentially reduce your tax bill, and help maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now. Melissa and the team are ready to help you start building a retirement plan designed to help you flourish in retirement. For Melissa and the team at MRS Wealth Advisors, I'm Amy Sharp. We look forward to seeing you next time on Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.
Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS. Melissa Matson has been helping families in Las Vegas plan for a successful retirement. The team at MRS Wealth Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS.
In life, there are many things you can't control. The good news is there are some things you can control, and that includes how much you'll pay in taxes. On today's show, you'll learn ways to help keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam. Plus, later in our show, we'll answer some of your biggest retirement questions. And I'm back with Melissa. It's always good to be with you. We're talking taxes. I know you had something you wanted to say before we even get started.
Yes, it's great to be here, Amy. And you know, before we get started, it's really important for everyone to understand we are a registered investment advisory firm. We are not CPAs. It's really great to be able to clarify the roles of those two positions. You know, there are the tax planners and there's the tax preparers. A tax preparer basically is putting the information that happened yesterday onto your tax return. CPAs do an amazing job. We have great relationships with CPAs that we refer you to. We are not in any way giving any tax advice today, but we consider ourselves tax strategists or tax planners, where we can help you stack your income streams in the future to save potential impact of taxes in your retirement. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. And it all really comes down to control. You know, we all want to have control in our lives. We can't control things like the weather, the traffic jam, the market, things like that. And I think a lot of us really believe that we have no control over taxes when it comes to retirement. But you say that's not necessarily true.
It isn't true, Amy. In fact, it's really important. It's better, of course, if you look at the impact of what it could look like in retirement before you actually retire. But once you enter into retirement, you have so many different streams of income that are going to be landing on your tax return. And you want to know, do I have my buckets of money in the right place? Because, you know, you have your pre-tax money that you've never paid taxes on. Then you have, you know, your taxable money, and then you have your tax-free money. So when you need, when you're taking Social Security, or you are basically using Medicare as your main source for medical care, when you are taking distributions from these different types of accounts, it can make a significant impact on your Social Security. Social Security is taxed at a mere married couple if you make more than $44,000 a year, which is really nothing, hardly. If that's all you're earning, 85% of your Social Security could be taxed. So it's really important to know the back end consequence of where your money is falling on your tax return. Making a plan for that, there's a big difference.
And just as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking this is really going to make up a big part of our retirement expenses when we really start to think about it and all the different factors that are taxable. Is that true? Is it potentially one of our biggest expenses?
Absolutely is. In fact, I mean, 80% of the folks who saved and are entering into retirement right now have saved in that bucket I was talking about, that pre-tax bucket. 80% of their retirement savings is there. So the impact of withdrawing on that stream of income, landing on your tax return, if you need to buy a new car and you need to spend $50,000, that's what the average price of a new car is today. Can you believe that? And that will make an absolute bracket bump or bracket creep when it looks into your standardized deduction. So it's really important that you have some tax efficiency to your portfolio before you enter into retirement, but more importantly, before you hit that age of required minimum distribution age. That is the age that the IRS says you must start withdrawing from those accounts. Tell you what, people get to that age, they've accumulated and accumulated. Why haven't they spent that money? Because they don't want to pay the tax. But guess what? All of a sudden, if they're required to take that minimum distribution and they say, but we don't want it, And I said, well, if you don't take it, you're going to pay a 25% penalty and the tax. So, you know, pick your poison. You're going to pay one way or the other.
I think, you know, it all does come down to lifestyle as well. We want to be able to control taxes in retirement and not downgrade the kind of lifestyle that we have hoped for so long and that maybe we're living in the moment in retirement.
And, you know, that's a great point. If you don't have a plan, so some balance, let's call it balance or tax efficiency in your retirement portfolio, you could have a lifestyle downgrade. We don't want that. We want to make sure that we're able to grab income from different sources, different resources, so that we have that balanced lifestyle throughout our retirement.
Okay, we're off to a great start. This is an important topic. Stick around. We've got much more to talk about when it comes to taxes. The bad news is taxes can be a big expense in retirement. The good news is you have options to help lower your bill. Melissa will explain in depth next.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy, but with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow, so you can enjoy your retirement today.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you know taxes could be your largest expense in retirement? It catches a lot of retirees by surprise, so if that's the case, you're not alone. There are ways to potentially lower your tax bill, and that's what we're going through with Melissa today on our show. As you and I were saying, even in the break, it's such a big topic. There are so many different directions you could go, and we don't even have enough time here on our show today, but I think I want you to continue to kind of dive a little deeper into those tax saving options, because now is the time also, with the taxes the way they are, to do it. And then we do have options. That's important to point out.
And you know what, Amy, it is one of the largest pieces of the portfolio planning that we really try to go in depth to show people they can take some control of their future. You know, when you talk about tax planning, there's really, just to keep it simple for everybody, there's really 3 types of buckets that our money can fall into. You know, as I said before, you have your pre-tax accounts, you have your taxable accounts, and you have your tax-free, of course, all of our favorite accounts, right? But often when people come in and visit with us, all their money is over here in the pre-tax bucket, because they bought into that in the 80s, that if you contribute to your 401k, your IRA, your 403b, there's actually 37 different acronyms that, basically stand for pre-tax money. 80% of people's retiree accounts is in that bucket. And when we ask them, shouldn't we have some balance between these 3 buckets? They don't really know how to get there. And the money's here because they like the deduction that they got, and they don't want to pay any tax. But pay now, folks, or pay later. You're going to pay taxes on that money. So to bring tax efficiency to your portfolio, in retirement, once you stopped working, your income is lower, and often it makes sense to pay attention to those standardized brackets and convert a bit into the tax-free bucket. Pay some taxes a little bit each year, paying attention to those bracket bumps. That way you have a bucket of money that later in life, whether you need to take $50,000 out for a long-term care event, if that were to happen, or if you needed to buy a new car or a new air conditioning, those things are very expensive. If you have to take all that money from a pre-tax bucket, it's going to be considered income. That's going to affect your Medicare IRMA tax. That's going to affect your Social Security tax. All of these different streams of income are going to have a huge impact on your retirement. So bringing that tax efficiency to your portfolio, sitting down with us and going through the different ways, it may or may not make sense. Everybody's situation is different.
You brought up RMDs, required minimum distributions, earlier, and I think it's just important with that topic. You need to pay attention to what's going on in Washington with that one, because the age limit is changing, the penalty changes. There's a lot to really tune into on that one.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the Secure Act 2.0 that became effective in 2020, it has been amended so many times, and the laws are always changing. So when we ask folks what the required minimum distribution age is, we get all kinds of answers to that question. Some people still think it's 70 and a half, when in actuality, as of today, it's actually 73. and it's going to be changing again in the future. So paying attention to these changes, most of the time people think that deferring their RMDs is going to cost them less in taxes, but in fact, it's probably going to cost them somewhere around a minimum of 25% more. Because with the huge debt, the entitlement programs, there's a lot of tax that needs to be collected to keep our programs intact. So paying attention to these changes is important. And if you don't take your RMDs, guess what? You get penalized.
It's come down, though.
Yeah, it came down 25%, which is nice, but it's 25% plus the tax that you're going to owe. So just take a smidgen more than your required minimum distribution just to keep yourself safe.
Okay, Melissa, one more thing to point out that I think is important. If one of our viewers is working with the financial advisor right now and they're not really having that tax conversation, they're not forward thinking, is it time to get a second opinion?
I encourage people all the time to come in and have a visit. It's just a conversation. Does it make sense for you to bring some tax efficiency from your portfolio by paying taxes now rather than waiting for taxes to go up in the future? Because wouldn't it be nice to have a confidence in your retirement plan, knowing that you've created this efficiency, knowing that you're able to have money for the things that are going to be necessary in retirement, not wondering if Uncle Sam is going to be changing the law, increasing taxes. Nobody wants a what-if retirement. People want a sure thing. So having that balance puts them out of that, I hope I have enough. They have a sure thing that they've done their very best. Life can always happen. Unexpected things can always happen. But we want to do our best to create a very solid strategic plan by addressing all of these issues. And taxes is a huge expense in retirement.
Yeah, hence the acronym MRS, meet, review, strategize, and it's what you do every single day.
And we love it. It's so great.
All right, thank you so much, Melissa. Up next, Melissa takes you through the history of taxes. That's next in Master Plan Minute. Stay with us.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work toward your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Welcome back to the show. To understand where we're going, it helps to know where we've been. And that's true even when we're talking taxes. Melissa is here to take us through the history of taxes in today's Master Plan Minute. Melissa?
Yeah, a little bit about history of our taxes. Can you believe that taxes have only been around since 1913. Yep, it's true. In 1913, Congress first presented taxes and they were at 7%. And then the very next year, 1914, it was really easy to erase that percentage and double it to 13.5%. Do you want to take a guess? What was the highest federal income tax rate? Well, I'll tell you what it was. If you made more than $200,000, which in 1944, let's face it, that was like $2 million in our day. But if you made more than $200,000, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, you were paying 94% every dollar earned over that. Wow, it makes our today highest federal rate of 37% seem very inexpensive. So taxes, believe it or not, folks, people think that they're higher than ever. But in your lifetime, the truth is they've never been lower. So there's really no place for taxes to go but up from where they've been. And they aren't going to just go away, even though we may want them to. When we think about the debt that our country has right now, today, when we think about Social Security, they call it an entitlement program, even though we have paid into it. They talk about it as an entitlement program. You know, Social Security has been around since 1935. And when Social Security first came to be, there was 64 people putting money into the system for one beneficiary taking money out. Those numbers have completely flip-flopped, and that's because of pure longevity and the baby boomer generation, Generation X, they are not having children at that rate. In fact, the stats show that there's only 3 people putting money in per one beneficiary. That's a lot different than it was back in 1935. So when we think about the history of our taxes, we think about the longevity risk that we're faced with, and we think about all of the changes. We don't have control over legislative risk. We don't have control over changes in the tax code. It is what it is when it comes time for us to use our qualified money. So we want to make sure that we have a tax-efficient strategy so that we are able to deal with future tax consequences when we're ready to use some of our money. That is our Master Plan Minute. Back to you, Amy.
Up next, if you have questions about retirement, stay tuned. Melissa has answers. Stay with us.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
Time now for your questions about retirement. It is a favorite segment for both of us because I feel like we learned something. I know that we can't always share a lot of details and get into a lot of the particulars, but it gives an opportunity for our viewers to understand how you and your team would answer these questions. You ready?
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Okay, let's go. This one is about RMDs. We've been talking about this. This is from Marisol in Green Valley. I know I have to be mindful of taking my RMDs at 72. What retirement accounts are subject to those RMD rules? And already she said 72.
Right.
So see?
And you know this. That's right. Absolutely. Well, Marisol, the accounts that you need to be mindful of taking your RMDs from at age 73 as of this year, so you have another year to prepare for that because the law was just upped again, is anything that falls in that pre-tax bucket. So depending on where you worked, if you had a 401k or a 457 if you were a government worker, 403bs if you were a teacher, depending on where you worked, anything that you have, in this day and age, most people have had more than one career or more than one job. So keeping track of where all of those different pre-tax, pre-qualified accounts are, that way you can make sure that at age 73 this year or next year for you, you are calculating that from one number. Now remember, you don't have to take a little bit from each account if you don't have all of your IRAs together. You can actually just choose an account, and as long as you're taking the amount from one withdrawal, it can suffice for all of your different accounts.
Okay, very good. This is from Dale in Henderson. My wife and I have certainly noticed the big jump in prices lately. We have some goals to remodel a kitchen and put in a pool when we retire. But now we're worried about what prices will be when retirement comes. Do you have a rule of thumb to figure this out so we'll know if we can afford it? And that's so frustrating right now for so many pre-retirees. They have these dreams, these hopes, these goals that they've been plotting out for years, probably. Right. This pool, I mean, that's a big one.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, the numbers don't match up.
Dale, my rule of thumb, I'm just going to give you a rule of thumb. If you're planning on doing major construction, like putting in a pool or, revamping your backyard, you may want to do that while you're still working. Dive into taking that expense on now rather than retiring and then having to use your retirement accounts to fund this big project, and then you're going to be taxed in a way that's uncomfortable for you. So for big expenses, try to get as many of those out of the way before you actually retire, if it's close or if it's a possibility. Because remember, those retirement accounts are meant to provide you with stable income. There's no retirement without income. You have to have that paycheck coming in on the first of every month. Taking a huge project, and I tell you what, doing a pool is around $100,000. That's a big, steep ticket. And going to the grocery store, having family gatherings. I mean, we all are feeling that. Just buying a piece of lumber, what it used to cost. So it's important. I would say if you have a big project like that on the horizon and you're getting close to retirement, you might want to do a little bit of those projects sooner than later.
Yeah, I feel like we're being the bearer of bad news a little bit, but also
sometimes.
You're giving him, grace to do it now and maybe get started a little sooner. So That's good.
Yep.
All right. This is from Jacqueline in Green Valley. My husband and I are considering joining a retirement community that has different levels of care as needed. I'm worried about the price. What do you think of communities like that?
Oh, well, Jacqueline, many have firsthand experience with this, and I'm one of those. My parents are actually 91 and 93, and one of the things when we were looking a few years back on the type of nursing home to choose for our parents, we found it really important to find those centers that have the different levels of care. Because when we think about moving, how many times we've moved in our lifetime and how overwhelming it is and how much work it is and how much stuff we have, it's difficult. Imagine being in that very fragile phase of your life and all of a sudden you need extended care, you need more care. And so you have to pick up and take your pictures and move your things. And of course your family's doing all that, but you're out there shopping for a new place for different levels of care. And it usually isn't something that you have a lot of time to make those decisions. It's usually decisions that have to be made rather quickly. So I would say that type of a community is absolutely the best, in my opinion. Of course, you have to be able to pay for that. You have to be able to afford and evaluate the different levels of care. And there's so many different types of long-term care benefit plans that you can actually purchase. There's life insurance that have long-term care benefits as well. So making a plan for that stage of life so it's affordable is very crucial to look at.
Okay, invaluable insight. Okay, this is from Vince in Las Vegas. I'm 54 years old and my employer just offered a Roth 401k option. I'll probably work another 10 to 12 years. Is it worth switching to that from a traditional 401k?
Well, you're 54, so I just want to point out that if you were to do a conversion from your 401k IRA, if your plan allows you to be able to do that, you will need to pay the taxes that you would owe from a savings account. You would not be able to pay it internally, because if you did, you would actually get that 10% penalty because you're under 59 and a half. So your situation is unique. You have to sort of evaluate that. The other thing is, what I would probably suggest would be wiser choice would be to stop contributing to the 401k IRA and start contributing heavily to the Roth component that they're just adding, because you're still going to work a few more years. Just max out the Roth portion and you'll be in pretty good shape. But wait typically till you're 59 and a half to do those conversions.
Okay, great answers. I think we're out of time for our question and answer segment.
Okay.
So very good. If you want to know ways to generate lifetime income, help reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now to start planning for your ideal retirement. For Melissa Matson of MRS Wealth Advisors, I'm Amy Sharp. Have a great day and an even better retirement.
Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS. Melissa Matson has been helping families in Las Vegas plan for a successful retirement. The team at MRS Wealth Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS.
Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors. I'm Amy Sharp, and joining me today, Melissa Matson, founder of MRS Wealth Advisors, located right here in Las Vegas. No one likes a construction zone. They block your way, force you to change your route, and sometimes make you want to pull your hair out. It's bad enough on your morning commute. It's even worse when it comes to your retirement. Today, Melissa helps point out some of the biggest detours that could stall your retirement, and later, ways to navigate your retirement journey. Plus, in our Master Plan Minute, Melissa shows you some common signs that it may be time for a new advisor in retirement. And Melissa, it is great to be back with you. I feel like we should have like orange construction vests on right now for this show, kind of like some flashing lights to kind of, direct people in the right direction towards that perfect retirement, because there's nothing more frustrating than idling in traffic. And of course, here in Las Vegas, sometimes it seems like it never ends. You can be there for what feels like hours. And now, we're talking retirement and how it might feel if you don't have a good handle on your retirement savings, maybe a well thought out plan, and all that comes with it. So I want to find out from you how we know we're ready to retire. How do we get that green light, if you will, to go through that construction and take the journey that we want?
Oh, that's a great point. And this is what we talk about every single day with people who come in and visit with us, because building that retirement plan takes some time. It takes some inventory. What is your budget for retirement? And are we able to create the income that is absolutely necessary? Because retirement is all about retirement income planning. And so if we can plan for that retirement, and we know that there's going to be unexpected expenses that arise, and know that we have a plan for inflation, we have a plan for healthcare, we have a plan for the tax situation, making sure that we are navigating a plan together so that when you lay down on that pillow at night, you can say, I have enough to retire, congratulations, there's no more alarm clock waking me up in the morning. So it's a longer journey that we have to look forward to.
Yeah, getting rid of the alarm clock, though, sounds pretty nice to a lot of us that are
Doesn't it, though?
still waking
Yes.
up to one every morning. Let's talk longevity. How long do you tell your clients they should expect to be retired, they should plan for in retirement? And that's a tough question, I know, because we just don't know. There's no crystal ball for this.
You know, that's a great point. And you know, it's interesting, Amy, when we ask our clients, how many of you know someone who's actually attained 100 years old? And it's amazing. Most people have witnessed someone, it might not be a family member, but it was a neighbor or a friend's parent. People are living longer. So what used to be a 10 or a 15-year journey has become a 25 to 30 to 35-year journey in retirement. That's because we have more quality health care. And so the medications, there's been a lot of new discoveries. And so people's lives, they're just lasting a lot longer than they ever planned for. So we need to make sure that we have the income streams necessary to be able to last as long as we do.
What are some of the factors that could cause us to detour? We were talking about how frustrating that can be if we're idling in traffic or we have to find a different route. When it comes to retirement, what are some of those factors that may, raise a flag, if you will?
Well, just going back in history and making sure that we take this serious. When we talk about market fluctuations or we talk about losses in our portfolio, if you just think of something as simple as having pre-tax money that is now requiring you to take required minimum distributions, that sequence of returns risk, which means in English, it just means that drawdown on your portfolio that must take place, whether your money's earning interest or you're having losses, can make a dramatic impact. Or let's just say you have a decline in health unexpectedly. My grandmother unexpectedly had a stroke at a very young age of 74, and it left her actually paralyzed on the left side of her body, requiring her to go into a nursing home at a very young age. She was in there for a while, longer than she wanted to be in there, because it was impossible for us to take care of her at home. But these unforeseen medical emergencies or unforeseen medical consequences, and of course, when we lose our spouse, when we talk about those things, because often that means that you're going to be losing one Social Security income or perhaps a pension income, depending on how it was set up originally. So having a plan for the sustainability of the longevity of both people is crucial. So making sure that you just talk about those things, pleasant or as unpleasant as it can be. And that's really the road that we really try to go down with people when we're setting up a comprehensive retirement plan.
Crystal ball sure would be nice, though, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it, though?
It really would.
Yes.
Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we don't want to know some of the things coming up. Okay, we've got much more to go, so I will continue this conversation with you in just a few moments. But coming up, it's hard to make a road trip without a map. Melissa helps you understand some of the best ways to reach your retirement destination. But first, here's how you can contact Melissa and the team at MRS Wealth Advisors. Stay tuned.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? below the surface? Is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
Welcome back. We're glad you're tuned in today. And Melissa is here. And if you're planning a road trip, first you decide where you want to go. And then you check a map, of course. We all know those old real maps.
Right.
And it's a little different today. So you can see where you're going, where you are now, the best way to get to your destination. But if you've never been there before, it's hard to know if you're going the right way without a map. And before we kind of talk about the map itself, I wanted to ask you a question about 401k. And because a lot of times people will leave their job. Maybe they're laid off, maybe they're forced to leave, whatever the situation may be. And then they're saying to themselves, what do I do with this 401k? So there's a little bit of a direction that needs placed there as well.
Absolutely. And this is very, very common. And most of the time when we sit down, we look at the baseline number of what's in their 401k, and it typically makes sense to roll that over into an IRA, an individual retirement account. But then how much income do we need that money in your IRA to provide for you over time, and for how many years? As we said, retirement lasts a lot longer than it used to. So often there's different avenues that you can take. You can, of course, you want to have your managed money, but you also to have different income streams that are guaranteed for life. Typically, some kind of a pension annuity or annuity product, insurance product offer that security. Sometimes it can come in a form of a bond, a laddered bond or CD, something that's safe to provide that laddered income stream. And then once you have that, you can have that equity exposure within your 401k. So having a little bit of everything going on with that chunk of money you've worked so hard to accumulate, the magic is really in the distribution phase for those 55 or better.
Lots of planning goes into all of this. At MRS Wealth Advisors, how often are you seeing people come to you, sit down, they're ready to retire, they've got the date circled on their old-fashioned calendar, and they don't really have a clear roadmap of where they're going?
Sadly, Amy, it's often. In fact, people will do their own math and think that once I get to that $1 million mark, I'm going to have plenty of money to last with a little bit of Social Security. And then once they come in for that first-time visit, and we actually teach them that we need to account for inflation. We need to talk about market volatility. We need to talk about all the unexpected retirement, this journey, because we have all of these things that we're going to be faced with: healthcare, Medicare, Social Security. When's the best time to take those? But how much income do you really need? You don't just need income, you need increasing income in retirement. So do you have enough to succeed? Because who wants to retire and then have to go back to work because they didn't plan accordingly, or their portfolio had too much market exposure and they didn't have an income plan and they are going to run out of money? Because sadly, it depends on which decade you're retiring in. Those first 5 years are crucial in the retirement journey to make sure you don't experience too much loss.
Let's talk investments for just a minute. It seems like most people know this. You, of course, know this, that your investments should be looking different from the time that you were in your working years as you get close to retirement, and then, of course, when you're in retirement. How important is that?
So important. In fact, it's the number one conversation we feel is crucial, because often when you're accumulating your retirement assets, you're putting money into your 401k every 2 weeks. And then your employer is matching your contribution up to a certain percent, of course. But in the accumulation phase, it's pretty tough to get it wrong, let's be honest. The key is get the money in there, set money aside, because once you've accumulated, you're at the top of the mountain. Now it's in the distribution phase where the magic really does have to happen, because that's when you need to make sure you're taking money from the right buckets. And having too much volatility or too much risk, I guess I should say, in retirement or in that distribution phase, you're asking something of your portfolio you've never asked before. You're saying, hey, it's a Saturday, I want that paycheck on the first of every month. Whether the market's up or the market's down, I want to go play. So give me that paycheck, because we need money. We need that income to be able to pay our bills and enjoy the life that we're looking forward to.
And it sounds so simple to have that roadmap in place. At some point, you can maybe take that hard hat off and have a little more confidence going into this phase of life, because we've talked in other shows about longevity and how long we can live, and we want to enjoy it to the max. The max, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And just having that peace of mind that when you lay your head down on that pillow at night, that you've done your very best to basically have a diversified portfolio. It looks different than it did when you were in the accumulation phase, because now you're asking something that has to be more certain in your retirement phase of life.
Okay, this is great information, and we know there are going to be little detours around the corner all the time, but again, having that plan in place, having the proper guidance by your side with your team at MRS Wealth Advisors, we know we're going to be a little much better, I should say, along the way.
Absolutely.
All right. Straight ahead, Melissa shares some key signs that it could be time for a new advisor. That's next in Master Plan Minute. And still to come, Melissa answers some of your questions. First, here's how you can contact Melissa and the team at MRS Wealth Advisors. Stay with us.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow, so you can enjoy your retirement today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
In today's Master Plan Minute, Melissa talks about some signs to be on the lookout for with your current advisor. If these sound familiar to you, it could be time to look elsewhere. Isn't that right, Melissa?
Absolutely. Signs you may need a new advisor. Gosh, if your current advisor only calls when they want to make trades on your account, that is a transactional advisor. That is not putting your best interests at heart. Or if your financial situation is changing, but the advice is staying the same, that doesn't work. Or let's say your advisor doesn't listen to you. You go in for an annual review and they're talking at you instead of with you. That's not a good sign either. Your advisor doesn't listen to your spouse. If the spouse is sitting in the background playing Candy Crush on their iPad and not paying attention to the conversation that's going on between you and your advisor, what's going to happen if you're not there? how is the spouse going to be able to understand what he or she needs to be dealing with if you're not there to answer those questions? What about if you dread calling your advisor with questions because you don't want to sound stupid? And they don't answer you in a way that you understand. They answer you in their language, and you're going, what? Those are all signs that you need a new advisor. That isn't how we do it at MRS Wealth Advisors. We truly sit down with you. We look at what you have going on, and we listen to what's important to you. Because let's face it, what was important to you 20 years ago when you began on this accumulation journey with your existing advisor, now perhaps you're entering into the distribution phase. Or maybe you've already lost your spouse and you're trying to make heads or tails out of what's going on in your portfolio. You don't want your questions to sound stupid. There are no stupid questions when it comes to what's important to you for your retirement needs. We sit down and create a plan appropriate for your age, appropriate for your risk tolerance, not what the norm is, and we speak to you in your language so it's understandable, and we don't care how many questions you ask. In fact, we try to ask the questions that you're not asking because we've typically seen it hundreds of times before. We want to help you solve the problems that you're about to face or in the middle of dealing with or maybe going to face in the near future. Making a plan for this, at MRS Wealth Advisors, our team will help you analyze the things that are important to you so that you can make adjustments in your portfolio because you deserve to be heard. You spent your whole life working and accumulating your assets, and now just because you're in a different phase of your life doesn't mean that you need to be spoke at. You need to be guided all the way through the up and coming challenges. Back to you, Amy.
Still to come, we'll hear directly from you in our Q&A section. Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues right after this.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
Now it's time to get to some of the questions you have for Melissa today. And I know Melissa is always ready to get started on this. Shall we?
You bet.
All right, let's do it. Here's one from David in Las Vegas. I'm being forced into an early retirement at the age of 57 from my job with the state. I'll have my pension, but that won't be enough to live on. Do I need to find another job since I'm too young for Social Security and too young to withdraw from my IRAs? That's a tough age. That happens to many people, and finding another job just doesn't seem very easy either.
Well, you know, David, thanks for calling in, but I will say this may be difficult for you to hear, but I'm just going to speak from my heart, and that is there's no better person to take care of your older self than your younger self. You may have to just tough it out and find another job. It may not be equivalent to what you're used to doing, but finding a job that perhaps could at least cover your health care and take care of your income needs for now so that you're still building towards your retirement journey. Because 57 is quite young to enter into retirement. that Medicare, that gap to Medicare at 65, if you can find something to just supplement for that 7 years, it will bring you on such a better journey moving forward so that you never have to look back and say, I wished I didn't have to live so frugally. So that's my recommendation. Try to find something. I know it's not easy out there, but that's what I would recommend doing.
Okay. This is from Kimberly in Boulder City. My husband and I spent a good portion of our 50s caring for our elderly parents. We were happy to do it, but it was emotionally and physically draining. We do not want to be a burden to our own children. How can you help with that?
Oh, hey, Kimberly, it's great that you did that. You and your husband are known as that sandwich generation. And it's wonderful that you're looking forward to making sure that you don't do that or, have that burden, even though you're happy to do it. It probably was a very exhausting time in your life. There's all kinds of options that you and your husband can consider to make sure that you can afford options in the future. If you set the money aside or earmark a certain amount of funds so that you know you have money so that you can have in-home care or nursing home care if necessary. Thinking about that now, putting a plan in place ahead of time so that you have those options, because 95% of the time when we ask folks, if you need to receive care, where do you want that to be? They want to be in their own home. And sometimes that's quite costly. So making a plan, we can absolutely help show you some ways to do that.
Okay. Here is a question from Patricia in Cadence. I bought several rental properties because I thought it would be a good way to generate retirement income. The cash flow has been decent, but the demands on my time are getting overwhelming. I feel like I can't enjoy my retirement. I want to stop being a landlord. What can I do?
Oh boy, this is a very, very common situation because when you're working and you're stuck at your job and you're accumulating these rentals, you're stuck in town anyway. You don't get to do the things like travel and take off and relax and do all the things that you want to do. And all of a sudden, those rentals become quite the burden. There are things that you can do. There are plans you can put in place. But from a tax perspective, you may want to consider just selling one off at a time and slowly, gradually get out of your rentals and replace that income with a product that's going to replace that income stream that will provide that lifetime income you're hoping for and we're wanting to get. Very doable. In fact, you may find that you're going to have a higher payout than you would with that appreciating assets. So something that you want to actually consider, but everybody's situation is different. Depending on what your end goal is, that's how we would structure and show you a plan on how to basically sell out of your rentals if that's what you're looking to do.
Okay. All right, here's another one from James in Henderson. I always thought I'd retire in my 70s, but my wife retired last year, and now I see how enjoyable retirement can be. Are you able to show me if I can retire now at 64 and still have an enjoyable retirement? A little bit of like, wait, you're having a little more fun than me.
Yeah, for
watching
sure.
her not having to get ready for work every day.
Well, congratulations to your wife for taking advantage of the fact that at 64, those are considered your go-go years. And it's great that you kept working until 70, but you may want to join her. You know, I can't really tell you if you have enough or not, but we would love to invite you in, take a look at what income streams you have coming in and what assets that you have. Make sure that we're looking ahead to have a plan built for you that's going to cover your retirement needs, whatever that looks like. The sooner you can afford to do that, I say don't hesitate. If you can afford it, you ought to do it. So that's what we do at MRS. We meet, we review, and we strategize together to make sure that we have a rock solid plan so you don't run out of money and you can go join your wife. Have some fun.
Absolutely. I feel like now's the time. Seize the day. Is this something you see often at MRS where people are like, you've got one on one page and one on another? And I think sometimes maybe couples do that deliberately because like, oh, we're not ready to be home together.
Right.
We've worked our entire lives. But is it a common theme?
It's so common. In fact, we typically see males identify who they are with what they've done in their career. They may have had more than 1, 2, 3 IT positions, but it is who they are. And so entering into retirement is sort of scary because they're like, who will I be? What will I do? Women, we tend to be able to we take on so many roles in our life, our entire life, we can transition quite easily in comparison. So it's great to kind of bring it together and think about what you can do for enjoyment.
Enjoy those grandkids.
Oh, yes.
Volunteer. There's so many opportunities out there. Thank you so much, Melissa. I always love this time when we hear the questions and get your great insight.
Thank you.
If you want to know ways to generate lifetime income, help reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now to start planning for your ideal retirement. For Melissa Matson of MRS Wealth Advisors, I'm Amy Sharp. Have a great day, everyone, and an even better retirement.
Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS. Melissa Matson has been helping families in Las Vegas plan for a successful retirement. The team at MRS Wealth Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS.
Outliving your savings seems to be one of the top fears for retirees today, and for good reason. With skyrocketing healthcare costs, increasing taxes, and the never-ending risk of stock market volatility, it's no wonder why many retirees feel overwhelmed. But Melissa Matson is here today to share some of the top strategies to help you find confidence in retirement. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors. I'm Amy Sharp, and Melissa is here with me once again. It is always great to be with you. We have a very important topic today because we know no two retirements will be exactly alike. There are some basic principles, though, right, Melissa, that we can kind of hone in on today in our show to kind of give our viewers, any retiree, that confidence that you need to go into retirement. It's so important.
It's so important, Amy. And like you said, there's no two clients that are exactly the same. And when there's no two clients that have the same goals, no two retirements look the same. Everyone's journey is different, but there are a few fundamentals that are very important to make sure that you have those guardrails put in so that you're planning for a long life. You're planning for a 25 to 30 year retirement, right? You're making informed decisions about your Social Security. As we talked about earlier, there's over 567 ways to draw your Social Security, but the timing of when you take your Social Security is very, very important. So understand what difference that can make on your retirement and understanding the income that you need, because having that strong foundation of income that's increasing income is also going to just be successful for you. We need to make sure that we are planning for inflation risk, because we can talk about the 100-year average, but we don't have control over legislative risk and all the choices that are being made. So we need to plan for that. Also, because we're living longer, we're probably going to have healthcare costs involved. As we've said before, over 70% of folks that reach the age of 65 they have a 70% chance of needing healthcare, an opportunity for some kind of long-term care help, right? And taxes. Taxes can erode your retirement savings if you don't have a plan for some balance in your taxable versus tax-free money. So you just need to be well diversified. If you have this well diversified portfolio, the types of assets that are in your portfolio, the income needs that you need, that's what we do, is we help people make a plan so that they can actually look forward and say, we have confidence that we have enough. And unfortunately, if we have to work 3 more years, at least you have the answers to that too. Mathematically testing your nest egg.
It sounds like you mentioned longevity, and it sounds like all of these factors can play into that. We are living longer. Why do we need to have that plan in place so that our money potentially lives as long as we do, or does live as long as we do?
Well, because, I mean, it's wonderful to say early retirement and is going to be great, but we spend the most money when we first retire, and then it may taper off a bit in our mid-retirement years. But if we do make it past into those no-go years where life really slows down, typically one of you, if you're a married couple, is going to pass away first, and the other one is going to need some help, because not both of you are going to be able to help each other at the same time. Typically, one person ends up being the caregiver, and the person left behind needs to pay for care to help them get through those later years.
And that's all part of that planning. And I know when you sit down with your clients, your potential clients at MRS Wealth Advisors, you are having this, again, specific conversation with each person. It's so important to have that plan to lower the risk of running out of money, so that we aren't going to get to the end and be like, we don't have money even for long-term care.
Oh, yes. And really, looking at the statistics and just the people that we serve, the number one concern is outliving their money, because you never know the unknown, just all of the unknowns that can come into your life. It could be a health emergency. It could just be an accident, like falling down, breaking your hip. And it's not so much that Medicare isn't going to cover your bill. It's the fact that who's going to take care of you when you come home? Who's going to cook your meals? Who's going to care for you? Who's going to do the grocery shopping? Because most people want to stay home. So making sure that you are reducing taxes whenever you can, making sure that you have a withdrawal strategy so that you have enough income coming in to cover your expenses, making sure that's going to last over the next 25 plus 30 years.
Did we ever imagine that confidence would be so important in our lives? You know, we talk about it when we're younger, but we really need it as we go into retirement as well, don't we?
Absolutely, because worrying, well, let's face it, it just shrinks your life. It doesn't prolong your life. So we don't want to go into retirement guessing or worrying that we have enough, or when are we going to go get our next job. So having that confidence that you have a plan in place, it's solid, we're doing the best we can, and we have, we can't plan for everybody, for everything, but we can do our very best at having a solid plan.
Melissa, thank you so much. Coming up, Melissa helps you tackle some of the biggest risks to your retirement. And later in Master Plan Minute, you've probably heard us talk on this show about risk tolerance, but how is that different from your risk capacity? Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues after this.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow, so you can enjoy your retirement today.
And I'm back with Melissa Matson. Today, Melissa's sharing some of the top strategies for pursuing retirement confidence. Doesn't that sound great? You know, there's no retirement without income, and it's something everyone will need, all of us. So, Melissa, how are you approaching this with your team at MRS Wealth Advisors? That discussion of income, the paycheck's no longer coming in the mail.
Right.
Goodness knows we would love for it to continue, but we do have to start creating our own income. What does that look like in order to kind of give each one of your clients the confidence that we're focusing on today?
Yeah, very good question. You know, when we sit down with potential prospects or even our own clients, you know, it's important to have a good handle on the overall situation, because once you retire, you want to know, do we want the same type of lifestyle that we had while we were working? Do we want to downsize, or do we want our dream home? Do we want a second home? What kind of a lifestyle do we want? So knowing exactly what we're looking for in retirement helps us to have that base plan, set that budget, you know, moving forward, so that you can predetermine the lifestyle that you're looking for. And then if you want to stay active, maybe you want a part-time job. Maybe you don't want to completely, you know, exit out of the workforce. You want to one foot in because you enjoy what you do. You want to keep your mind, you know, active, and you don't want to slow down too much. But it just depends on what's important to you. And there's a big difference between having an estate plan and having legacy goals. Some people have done very well, and they're concerned for their children and their legacy, and they want to make sure that what they are leaving behind, that their loved ones are going to be the largest beneficiaries of their assets rather than Uncle Sam. Back to that. So having a plan in place, addressing your goals and desires and income needs, just having a discussion, often just sitting down with our team, we can lay out a plan that gives ideas, adjust it, some strategies in place, because this is what we do every single day.
Let's go a little deeper into the tax piece of it. How do you talk to your clients about being tax efficient with that income in retirement? That's a whole nother element for each client.
Absolutely. Taxes are, there again, going to be one of your biggest expenses in retirement if, like 80% of the people that walk through our doors, their biggest part of their savings is their pre-tax bucket. So you may want to consider, it would be best if it's before your required minimum distribution age, maybe it makes sense to do some Roth conversions, creating some balance between your pre-tax money and your tax-free money, so that you have a strategy to offset those income needs or those unexpected income needs. You can actually draw from your tax-free bucket rather than your taxable bucket, which would cause an increase in your overall tax consequence, perhaps your Social Security being taxed, and having Medicare, IRMA premiums being increased. There are so many different variables that you really don't have control of in your retirement years that you do have control over when in your accumulation years. So just having a plan for that, it would make a big difference. And also, back to leaving a legacy plan. Do you want to leave the Secure Act that changed everything in the distribution law? Do you want to leave behind a pre-tax bucket that is required to be distributed over a 10-year period, therefore causing your heirs to have to, have a bracket creep or pay a very high amount of taxes on your hard-earned money? Or do you want to create some tax efficiency for your heirs so that they can have a bit of a balance? Because remember, the Secure Act, that IRA has got to be emptied after the 10th year. If it's in a Roth IRA, most people think that it can go on forever because there's no required minimum distribution. But the law says the Roth IRA has to be emptied 9 years, 364 days. You just don't have to take distributions within that 10-year period. So there's lots of different nuances that we can share and give some insight that's very, very valuable for the future generations to come.
We've been using words like confidence and control a lot in the show today. Are you finding that it's hard to imagine with all the information that's out there right now, but are you finding that people are just absolutely overlooking taxes when it comes to retirement and planning for their income?
Well, overlooking taxes for retirement, I think most people think, hey, my income's going to be lower because I'm not going to have that big paycheck coming in. I won't be contributing to my account. So since my income is lower, I'm not going to have a tax problem. But in actuality, it's the opposite because there's all these other rules on the retirement accounts. And, like we said, Medicare, Social Security, the required minimum distributions, those we really don't have any control over. We have to pay attention to those federal income brackets. So if you don't enjoy paying taxes today, once you retire and once you get into that phase of your life, if you haven't created some tax efficiency as of that phase, you probably are going to overpay. And we talk about it all the time. Most people are unanimously in agreement that taxes are soon to go up. We know that the Tax Cut and Jobs Act is sunsetting January 1st, 2026. If that happens or not, we're not really sure. It's scheduled to, but we also need to make a plan for, while we can, move some of that money into tax-free status so that you can maintain some control.
Okay, great information. Thank you so much. Straight ahead, we'll dive into diversification to help you address risk. You've probably heard about risk tolerance, but how is that different from your risk capacity? That's next in Master Plan Minute, and still to come, Melissa answers some of your most pressing retirement questions. You're watching Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
In today's Master Plan Minute, Melissa helps us understand how much risk we can stomach versus how much risk we can afford. Melissa?
Thank you. Risk tolerance versus capacity. Our risk tolerance basically means how much can you emotionally handle the ups and downs of your portfolio. I mean, if you're spending your time away, stopping, watching TVs, whether you're on a bike ride or whether you're on a cruise in the middle of the ocean, you're paying attention to if the market swings, the ups and the downs. That's just part of life. If you're not comfortable with that kind of risk and you can't stomach it, maybe your tolerance for too much risk is not appropriate for you. Your risk capacity basically means, can you afford to lose 10, 15% in your retirement years? A lot of people can, and they don't worry about it. Let me give you an example. I had a client visit a handful of years ago, and she came in, she'd been in retirement for about 4 years. When she originally retired, was very conservative. Everything was sitting in the money market. Over $1 million. She was watching the market go up and up and up every single year. She did actually buy a CD during COVID, and that was at 3.5%. But when she finally decided, I'm ready for a plan, she came in and was so embarrassed that she'd been missing out on all of these returns and said, I really need a plan. I know I do. I'm just afraid to make a decision. So we basically mapped out her concerns, mapped out how much she was going to need in order to spend, and we created a solid income plan, one that we knew she would be able to afford to create this income through using a conservative guaranteed approach like a pension annuity, and that was with a portion of her money. Then we were able to allow her portfolio to have the freedom with a portion that she was going to have some risk in the market, some equity exposure, so that it would actually grow. And yes, it may go up and it may go down, But if she isn't taking actual withdrawals monthly, it has the opportunity for growth. So your plan, her plan was as conservative as she wanted it, but yet she had some equity exposure instead of being afraid or fearful of what her plan was going to look like if it went down with the market. So that's what we do at MRS Wealth Advisors. We actually take a look at your situation and make sure that you're taking on enough risk so that you can keep up with inflation, but not so much risk that you don't have the income that you desire. Back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Melissa. Have a question about retirement? Don't go anywhere. Melissa has the answers coming up in our Q&A segment. Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues right after this.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
You probably have questions about retirement, and the good news is Melissa is back with us. She's ready to answer some of them. So are you ready for this?
You bet.
Okay, our first question is from Mitch in Southern Highlands. I just inherited some land from my grandfather. I'm not sure if I should hang on to it for now or go ahead and sell it and invest the money to put toward my retirement savings. What do I want to consider before I make a decision?
Hey, Mitch, that's a great question. Well, as far as your land goes, depending on what type of land it is, you could just hold on to it and you could wait and it will appreciate, hopefully, wherever the land is, I'm not sure. Or if you were to sell the property, since you did just inherit it, you did get a step up in cost basis. Therefore, if you were to sell it and make a little bit of profit, it wouldn't be a taxable event at this time. But let's say you held on to that land and 10 years from now, the cost of the land doubled in value. You would have to, if you then sold it, you would have to pay taxes, capital gains tax on the profit of the sale. So you really have to weigh the difference. Does it make more sense, depending on what type of land it is, does it make more sense for you to sell it, not pay any tax, put the money in the market, and then be in a capital gains situation again? Or does it make more sense for the land to just sit and hoping that it will go back up in value? So looking at your entire picture and weighing it out, maybe you want to sell a portion of the land, depending on how much land you had. This may be a good opportunity for you to diversify so you can make an educated decision.
Okay, here we go from Sharon in Henderson. We're working on our retirement homework. We have more than $2 million for retirement. So how much of that might we want to budget for healthcare and long-term care? They're really forward thinking, and I think that's what most of us need to be doing, right? We need
Absolutely.
to think about not those trips necessarily, but healthcare and long-term care possibilities.
Oh my goodness, yes. I think that is great that you're thinking hard and thinking forward with your retirement. But I tell you what, Sharon, when you are allocating chunks of money towards healthcare costs are one of the most expensive rising industries in America. And I had a client who actually bought long-term care in the year 2000, and she ended up going into care in 2013. But back in 2000, those policies, long-term care policies, had $1 million cap. No kidding. Dear Dolores went into care, and 11 years into her policy, she did go into long-term care. She got her benefit for 11 years, very expensive. She died a month after her $1 million cap expired. So she knew she wanted her money's worth, but that policy, mathematically speaking, that policy cost her $78,000. So that isn't always how the story works out. You can't even buy long-term care with $1 million cap, but there are very great opportunities out there in the marketplace, in the insurance industry, that are not the or old-fashioned long-term care policies, but there's annuities that have home health care doublers. There's life insurance that has long-term death. You can use a death benefit for a long-term care benefit. So long-term care insurance has gone a long way. So just taking a piece of your portfolio and saying, hey, between two of us, we might want to earmark $1 million. Well, that's really not the way we would encourage you to do that. We would encourage you to pay some premiums or, invest a portion to have a larger benefit at the end.
Okay, great answer. Here's one from Jim in Green Valley. Will my wife get my Social Security check on top of hers if I die first?
No, Jim, she won't. At the time of death, the spouse gets to make a choice. Which Social Security do I keep? You only get to keep one. Generally, it's the higher of the two is the one that we would recommend keeping.
Okay, all right. And here is another one from Tammy in Las Vegas. Tammy asks, I've heard about Roth conversions, but I earn too much to have a Roth account. Are there other options I could consider?
Well, again, Tammy, a contribution Roth is different than a Roth conversion. So you are able to, it doesn't matter your income, you are able to do a Roth conversion at any income level. The thing is you're going to have to pay some tax. So making sure that you're not causing too big of a bracket bump so that you're not overpaying in taxes is really important to make an educated decision. We have a fantastic Roth calculator that we can actually help you determine if it makes sense for you while you're still working or not. So if you want to come in and sit down with one of us at MRS, we're happy to do that calculation, and you'll know, but it has nothing to do with income when it comes to do with conversions. That's only Roth contributions.
All of these questions, great questions, but they all kind of go back to coming in and meeting with your team, and that's just an invitation we always extend here on the show because so many of these take a little more conversation, a few more details, things like that, but your team's always ready to help.
Absolutely. And that's what we love to do. There's like we said, there's no two families that have the same amount of income, the same amount of assets, and the goals. The goals are always different. Some people want their last check to bounce, and other people want to leave a legacy plan behind. So knowing what's important to the client, helping them build their financial house so it will last, they can have the peace of mind and enjoy their retirement.
I love that financial house analogy. That is a good one. All right, thank you so much. And thank you for joining us. If you want to learn ways to help generate lifetime income, potentially reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now. Melissa and the team are ready to help you start building a retirement plan designed to help you flourish in retirement. For Melissa and the team at MRS Wealth Advisors, I'm Amy Sharp. We look forward to seeing you next time on Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.
Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS. Melissa Matson has been helping families in Las Vegas plan for a successful retirement. The team at MRS Wealth Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS.
It's a saying we're all familiar with. The only thing that stays the same is change. So how can you keep life's curveballs from derailing your retirement? That's our topic today. Welcome to Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors. I'm Amy Sharp. And today joining me, Melissa Matson, founder of MRS Wealth Advisors. And it is always great to be back with you, Melissa, for another show, another conversation about topics relating to retirement that are big.
Great to be here.
Okay, well, trying to plan for a 20 or 30 year retirement sounds challenging. And then when you think about all the different scenarios that might play out during that time, it kind of starts to seem a little bit impossible, which is probably why some people hesitate to even make the call to someone like yourself and your team.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it can be overwhelming when you put it that way. But let's face it. Do you eat an elephant in just one bite?
Oh, that's
Amy?
a good one. I like that. Yeah.
Right. So we approach having a comprehensive retirement plan with our clients. We break it down into small pieces or small bites, however you want to tackle it. It's a lot more manageable that way, discussing the pieces of retirement and trying to address it a little bit at a time.
Okay, let's take that a little bit deeper. Let's eat the whole elephant here, if you will.
Okay.
Take us through that type of planning approach and what we really need to be thinking about.
Well, you know, we like to use the financial house approach, right? We believe that with a solid retirement plan that has a great foundation, that has that base that will create the income that you need for your lifetime, then that's a very good base. We also believe that a piece of your retirement needs to have equity exposure so that it can keep pace with inflation. And we also need to make sure that we have some tax-free funds available for those healthcare emergencies that may or may not come up, or a plan to pay for healthcare in the event one of you were to enter into a nursing home or you needed to bring care in your home. Because everyone wants to stay in their home, but making sure that having the whole house built for you in this comprehensive retirement plan, you're looking at a solid structure. And we can just bulletproof it to the point that we try to address every unknown, because uncertainty in retirement, it's no way to enter into retirement, and it's an impossible way to stay in retirement.
Today we're talking about navigating changes throughout retirement, and a lot can happen over the course of 20, 30 years in retirement. We're living longer. How do you help people prepare for that? Because we don't know how long we will live, but it sounds nice to have a very long retirement, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And you know, Amy, I didn't mention the legacy piece in the happily ever after marriage scenario. Is fantastic when a couple has worked together and they've been married for 50, 60. My parents just celebrated their 73rd wedding anniversary just this year.
Well, congratulations to them.
That
We should
amazing,
say that right here.
Right?
That's worthy of an entire segment itself. That's
yes,
impressive.
It is. It's amazing. But when you think about that, and you know, their legacy plan has been the same for a very long time because they've been together. But you know, not all marriages last 73 years. And so you have to, when there is an unexpected change, a divorce, or there's an unexpected death, or you get married a second time, right? All of those things can impact your income situation. You may need less money, you may need more money. The last thing you want to do is to have everything in an uproar because you didn't have a plan for that, right? So living a long, healthy life could change. All of that could change in the blink of an eye, whether it be a stroke or a heart attack or a death. But we want to plan to live a long life. Let's be optimistic. Let's plan that we're going to be together for a long stretch. And that way, life is enjoyable. And then if the what if happens, be sure to tackle those head on rather than trying to sweep them under the carpet and, be sorrowful or, you don't want to deal with it. So
I was actually going to ask, is that easier said than done with some of your clients, them thinking, absolutely not, we are definitely not living that long, we don't have those kind of genes in our family, and just kind of really encouraging them in, in a somewhat forceful way to really just go ahead and plan for it.
So I was just referred recently to a client who they had just entered retirement last year, and their son, their 40-year-old son, got a very rare tongue cancer. And so they were really being helpful with the children and helping their son care for that. So they hadn't dealt with any of their retirement needs. And then second tragedy of their life, he was killed in a bicycle accident on January 3rd of this year. And it was so devastating to the spouse left behind because now she's stuck trying to navigate through all of the retirement needs and wishes and all the things that they were going to get to, right? And it's been really overwhelming, but I've been really grateful that her cousin which are clients of ours, referred us to her, and we've been helping her on this journey along the way. So
that's a terribly sad story, but also a very telling story to know that you have someone by your side and that guidance. So thank you for sharing. All right. It's one thing to try to plan around your own personal circumstances, but geopolitical conflict and policy changes overseas and here at home can also impact your future. Melissa helps you navigate those changes. Coming up next, Master Your Retirement with MRS continues right after this.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
And I'm back with Melissa Matson. Today we're discussing how planning can help you stay on track when life throws you a curveball. It's one thing to have a plan around our personal circumstances and our own family situation, but let's talk about things that can impact our retirement that are out of our control. Right. And gosh, there are plenty, aren't there? So we'll have you take it away.
Okay. Well, one thing that is really important to address is inflation. Inflation, we're all feeling it today. We're all being impacted by it. In fact, everything just keeps going up. So our portfolio needs to continue to go up so that we don't get outpaced by inflation, right? That's one thing. We also have to be concerned about the state of the economy. Markets are going to go up, markets are going to go down. You can't predict when you're going to retire that everything's going to be just fine for you. Geopolitical conflicts, we're seeing that today. They can have a huge impact on our markets here in the U.S. So what kind of control do we have over that? We don't really. So we can't control a market crash, but you can help control how much of your retirement you are willing to be impacted by a particular crash. So back to, depending on the decade you retire in, am I going to have a good retirement or is my retirement going to be a little shaky? That isn't any fun. That's not a plan. That's a hope that you're going to be okay. So breaking your portfolio up into a comprehensive retirement plan using different types of vehicles to get you on the road so that you're ready for those curveballs along the way. You know, where taxes are today doesn't mean that's where taxes are going to be in the future. In fact, most people agree that our taxes are doomed to go up. So if we have the ability to create and be able to put some guardrails on our tax consequence now, while there's opportunity where taxes are lower, we should really be taking advantage of that.
Okay, we talked about inflation and then, of course, market volatility. And there's this balancing act that starts to come into play. And how do we balance it out so that it aligns with our goals? And again, this is different for every single person you talk with.
Right. I mean, let's get real. Somebody that walks into our office and has a $10 million portfolio and their income needs are $6,000 a month and they're going to be fine with a little bit of volatility. It's not going to affect their retirement. You know, there's not a whole lot of, risk that could hurt them or keep them up at night, right? But not everybody's in that position. So having all of your eggs in one basket usually is not the right solution. You need to be diversified. You need to have a plan for your insurance needs along with your equity exposure. There's no cookie cutter plan that's going to work perfectly for anyone. A 60-40 bond equity split. I see that every single day. Somebody 85 walking in and they have 100% market exposure and they don't want any risk. You know what? There are other alternatives. There's other options out there. So taking advantage and building a customized, comprehensive portfolio that's geared towards your wants, your needs, your comfort zone. That's really where we come in because that's what we do every day. We sit down, we meet, review, and strategize the stage of life people are in and what they should be looking forward to making sure that they have a plan to be successful.
We can't control taxes and whether they go up. And of course, that is something we're all looking at towards the end of this year, the first of next year. So how does having that plan in place help us take back some of that control?
Well, having a plan in place for your tax consequences is while there's time, while there's opportunity to be able to do some conversions, if it makes sense for you. Let's face it, we serve over 400 clients in, our practice. And we probably only process 95 conversions every single year. So does it make sense for everybody? It doesn't make sense for everybody. But for those that it does make sense for them, you're shielding that, that consequence of overpaying in taxes on your Social Security becoming taxed or perhaps paying IRMA consequence, all of the different consequences that will fall on your 1040 when you do your taxes when you have no control. So it's important to address it while there's opportunity.
And what does that analysis look like when they come into MRS Wealth Advisors so that they can kind of get an overview of what that's going to look like?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amy. So what we do is we actually take what you have going on, your income that's coming in that you can't really change. We take your assets, and we give you a risk score. And this risk score says, wow, you're really on track. But if it looks like, according to what you're telling me and all of the numbers that we run together, that you're driving a little bit fast on this road to retirement, we actually have you encourage you to pump the brakes and diversify your portfolio. So basically, the program tells you success, you're never going to run out of money. You're going to get to the age of 100 with 4% inflation, with, these are certain income needs. We actually put the inflation on there. We put a decent rate of return. So it's apples for apples. But then doing some Roth conversions, it spreads it out and tells the clients that you can save yourself $200,000 to $500,000 a year over time if you were to implement some of these tax strategies. Would you like to save a couple $100,000 in taxes if it made sense for you?
Yes, I would.
Yes, me too. Well, I only have $100,000 bar for you. I don't have 200, so we'll give you 2 after the show.
All right. I love it. All right. Very good. This is worth sitting down and talking with you. Thank you so much. Straight ahead, Melissa shares her retirement checklist to help you prepare for life's changes. That's next in Master Plan Minute. And still to come, Melissa answers some of your most pressing retirement questions. You're watching Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors. Stay tuned.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work toward your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
In today's Master Plan Minute, as we talk about trying to prepare for life's curveballs, Melissa shares what you might need on your retirement checklist. Melissa?
Well, there's many things to know on your retirement checklist, but we're just going to cover 7. Let's start by talking about your income plan. Having a solid foundation that is not just going to provide income for your next 20 to 30 years, but is going to provide income that is increasing for your next length of your retirement. So when we think about an income plan, we want to make sure that it's always going to be there. Also, adjusting for inflation. Make sure that along with that increasing income, we're making a plan for, goodness, what a bottle of water costs today versus what it's going to cost 20 years from now, or a gallon of milk. Think in the past. Having tax efficiency in your retirement is absolutely key because there's those unknown taxable consequences once you reach the RMD age that you have to take those withdrawals, and those can have an unpleasant result, taxable result on your Social Security along with your IRMA Medicare premiums. So bringing some tax efficiency to your portfolio so there's some balance. Perhaps that means you're going to have to do some Roth conversions while there's still time. Something to check out. Make sure that you have an investment strategy. When you're in the accumulation phase of your retirement, it's pretty tough to get it wrong. But when you're in the distribution phase, you want to make sure that you're not taking on too much risk because you need your money to be there. You need your money protected from the ups and downs of market volatility and healthcare concerns. At least having discussions about what your plan will be in the event of a healthcare crisis or a medical emergency. Think about if you're a couple and you reach age 65, statistics say that one of you has a 70% chance of needing some form of long-term care. Well, when we think about a legacy plan, having a legacy plan or an inheritance plan, having those goals in place, knowing what's important for your heirs, you want your loved ones to be the biggest beneficiary of everything that you've accumulated. You want to make sure that Uncle Sam's name is not on your trust documents and is going to be the biggest beneficiary of everything you've accumulated. That falls in line with having not just healthcare coverage plan, but having a long-term care plan. Long-term care in the event that you spend 10 years or more in a facility or needing help. It happens, folks. You want to make sure that it doesn't erode against your inheritance goals for your loved ones. Because let's face it, you worked very, very hard for everything you've accumulated. Let's make sure that either you enjoy it or those that you love enjoy it. Having a retirement checklist and looking at all of the different moving pieces of having a comprehensive retirement plan is going to let you to be able to, spell success when you lay your head down on that pillow, enter into retirement. You know that it will be as successful as you've allowed it to be. We wish you all the best. That is your MRS Master Plan Minute. Back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Melissa. Have a question about retirement? Don't go anywhere. Melissa has the answers coming up in our Q&A segment. Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors continues right after this.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Planning for retirement can be complicated. Helping create income that lasts, making sure your health care is covered, investing while managing risk, and don't forget about taxes. If you're overwhelmed, you're not alone. The good news is we have what you need to give you confidence to start planning for your ideal retirement, all in one convenient resource. You'll get answers to some of your biggest retirement questions in this easy-to-understand, practical resource. And best of all, there's no cost to you. Take the first step toward a confident retirement and get yours today.
Welcome back. You probably have questions about retirement, and the good news is Melissa is ready to answer some of them right now. Are you ready for this?
You bet, Amy.
Okay, here we go. This is from Clark in Boulder City. Clark says, I'm 64 years old. My wife and I still have term life insurance. We're wondering if it would be best to find a different type of insurance that could take us into retirement. Could you give us your input?
You bet. You know what, Clark? That is a great question. I'm not sure how much time you have left on your term policies, but before you cancel any life insurance policies at all, if you're at all interested in replacing it, you're going to want to shop for a new policy. There are better types of policies to take you through retirement. There's actually life insurance that you can purchase. Of course, you have to qualify for it. You have to give up. You have to have a blood test and you have to qualify. They do look at medical records at this age. But once the insurance company comes back with an offer for you, you want the type of policy that will last for as long as you do. In fact, you want the type of policy that has a long-term care rider so that in the event you do need to use for, if you're incapable of 2 of the 6 daily living activities, you can access some of that death benefit as a living benefit. So it's not money out the window paying for something we all pray we never really have to use. So that is a different kind of insurance. It's considered universal life or index universal life. There's also some great whole life policies out there. But come in for determination, but keep those term policies in place until you qualify for replacement policies. And then it may make sense to cancel the term, but term is so inexpensive, you might want to just let it run its course.
Okay. All right. Great insight. This is from Deb in Southern Highlands. My husband has several emergency fund bank accounts with more than enough money to cover 6 months of income in the event of an emergency. I'm curious about other options that would earn higher interest for us. Could you give me some examples, please?
Well, I'm not sure where those emergency funds are. It sounds like they're just in bank accounts, but if they're just in bank accounts, your interest is probably pretty minimal. So there's some really interesting FDIC insured online banks that tend to pay higher interest, and they're completely liquid as well because they don't have the brick and mortar that the typical bank accounts do. There's also short-term CDs, of course, that you can access. I would pretty much just look at your situation, have the 6 months readily available in one of those liquid accounts to you, but really, I'm not really sure what you have going on, but those are a couple of ideas. There's also some high yield savings or maybe a short-term structured note or a bond or something. We just have to sit down and look at what you have going on.
I didn't say these questions were easy.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have some more information. I know, I understand that. All right, this is from Joe in Las Vegas. What might be the best investments for someone who is 61, healthy, and wanting to retire as soon as possible?
Oh, well, you are a perfect person to come in for a visit. I tell you what, there again, taking a look at your entire picture at age 61, this is a perfect time. We're able to sit down and mathematically test how much longer you have to work, or if you already are just one bad day away from retirement, you may be there. You just have to create a plan that's going to structure your assets to provide lifetime income, complemented with your Social Security. Of course, Medicare is the one thing that you're probably holding off till you're 65 before you actually pull the plug and retire. But depending on your situation, you may be able to retire now, but it's a good time to look at it.
Okay, and here is one more from William in Cadence. I own several rental properties that I'm planning to use for retirement income. What are my options for a backup plan in case I decide not to be a landlord anymore? And when we talk about this topic, it does seem like sometimes people get to that point where they think, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And so it's good to have options laid out ahead of time.
Yeah, this is a great question, and it comes up often because let's be fair. I mean, real estate 30 years ago was a heck of a lot less expensive than it is today. But also, older real estate, you almost don't feel like a landlord any longer. You feel like a slumlord. You're constantly getting calls for needing to replace an air conditioner, needing to replace the toilet in the bathroom. And your body just doesn't feel like doing all those things that you were doing before. And you want to actually, enjoy your hopes and dreams and have some freedom, right? You don't have no freedom when you're a landlord and someone's always calling you and needing something. So there's a lot of different ways that we would structure you, maybe getting out of those properties, maybe at an accelerated rate or maybe at a slow rate, depending on your taxable situation and also what you intend to do from a legacy standpoint. Because often real estate for today is a pretty good legacy plan if you can maybe it makes sense to hire a property manager so that you can have that. But taking a detailed look at the ingoings and outgoings and the depreciation schedules, your situation really needs to just be looked at to see what makes the most sense for you.
Okay, great insight as always. Thank you so much, Melissa. And if you are ready to learn ways to generate lifetime income, potentially reduce your tax bill, and maintain your lifestyle in retirement, reach out now. Melissa and the team are ready to help you start building a retirement plan designed to help you flourish in retirement. For Melissa and the team at MRS Wealth Advisors, I'm Amy Sharp. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on Master Your Retirement with MRS Wealth Advisors.